Not even Craig's fault, that one.
Okay, fair enough. That is the case. Apologies to him. He banged his melon on the ground quite hard. I should imagine he's got a headache that'll give a Panadol a headache now.
Imagine so.
Heat 6, there he is, Michael Poole, the Speedway Racing News Magazine. Jower, running an engine formerly owned by Jason Crump, in fact. Billy Hamill on the GM, bike number 11, making a major announcement in recent times. Billy Hamill will team up with the great Kenny Roberts in this season of racing in Europe. Kenny Roberts, former 3-time world road racing champion, likes Billy, likes Speedway. He's entering a team in this year's World Championship with Billy Hamill, the rider.
That's excellent. That's great news for motorcycling. Kenny Roberts is very, well, as everyone knows, held in such high regard. That'll be great for the sport.
Indeed, he is one of the greats. So too is the man out in front, Michael Poole. Probably the greatest rider never to have won the Australian Championship, if that makes sense. More than a decade racing in England. Have a look now at Billy Hamill. He's working him over on the outside. Poole seems to have it under control for the moment, though.
He does. Michael's riding a very interesting inside line, but seems to be holding Billy at bay, which is a surprise. Billy would usually have the power to get around him, but Michael's, being the home track hero, will probably have his bike sorted to the extent that he knows he can ride the inside and get away with it.
Here's Hamill now, the American driving up on the inside. I don't think he's got the run. Gee, it was close. Oh, wheel nut separating first and second. Mick Poole, the victor. Billy Hamill second. Lee Finance ultimately third there in heat number 6. Congratulations to Mick Poole. That's one of his really big wins here at Gosford, defeating the former world champion. Replay action. Yeah,
good start from Michael, good start from Billy, and they went at it wheel to wheel for virtually the whole race, inside, outside, and all over the place. But Michael Poole got away with it. Just going back to what you said about the best rider never to win an Australian final briefly, David. Well, probably about 1989, Michael had 3 wins from 3 rides at the Newcastle Motordrome, and the rain intervened and the meeting had to be rerun, so he was very unlucky that night. I think he had it in the bag.
Yeah, indeed, that was something of a bogey track for him at Newcastle. He did sustain a very bad leg break there one night too. Hope you're enjoying the action. It's the Series 500 International Speedway Challenge from the Gosford Speedway. We're coming back in a moment.
Contact into the barrier. Hamill goes back in front of Greg Hancock.
Yes, we welcome you back to this week's episode of Checkered Flag on C7 Sport right around Australia. And I hope you're enjoying that vision we're throwing into the program. Highlights from last year's World Grand Prix Series. Now we go sidecar racing again at the links. Gosford Showground Speedway, handicap conditions again. And the father and daughter combo of Mick and Clarissa Saunders in the orange-black leathers got away okay. They're almost about to be passed on the outside. You'll find, in fact, in the blue helmet colour, the combination Paul and Chris Allen running, well, they are up very high on the circuit. Saunders down low on the racetrack, and it's all happening. That's Paul Kaslik now moving up quickly in the yellow helmet colour. Rodney Kaslik coming back to racing after, I don't think he's ridden for 7 or 8 years.
No, he had a long break from racing. Paul's one of the most talented motorcyclists I've ever met. He's gifted on any form of motorcycle, YZ 500, can ride a speedway bike actually pretty competently for someone that's only ridden one 2 or 3 times. He's a very, very good motorcyclist, and as I see the action hotting up here, pretty interesting.
One of the stars of the upcoming Sidecar Grand Slam is Paul Kaslik. Now moving up into second on the racetrack. Greg Allen and James Ryan relegating the other Allen combo back to third on the circuit. And of course I refer to Paul and Chris Allen. Here's our race winning team though, exiting turn number 4. It's Paul Kaslik with Derek Williams on the side of the bike. Next across the line, Greg Allen and James Ryan, followed by Paul Allen and Chris Allen.
Nice ride from Paul Kaslik there. He showed his authority over the field and looks a little bit of class above the rest of his opposition tonight, and on his well-prepared sidecar, very fast engine and very skillful pilot and co-pilot.
Did a good job too. He's giving them 20 metres handicap start. And this was the action. You can see Mick Saunders, the veteran, in the orange leathers with his daughter. Nice way to treat your daughter, isn't it?
No, Yeah, not much respect there, but Paul's a multiple Australian dirt track champion, probably has between 15 and 20 Australian titles under his belt in the senior ranks, so very experienced.
It's all happening tonight at the Lynx Power Parts Gosford Showground Speedway. The fans enjoying a cold ale, beautiful weather conditions, advancing to Heat 7 in the Series 500 International Challenge. Great to have you with us this week on Checkered Flag. Next week, we present round 7 of the Auto Pro SRA Sprint Car Series out of Victoria. Big motorsport continues to come your way right here. Platt on the inside. Todd Wiltshire in the blue helmet colour. Jay Stevens riding the race of his life in the green helmet colour. And it's going to... Oh, Wiltshire and Platt getting all tied up. And that is a nasty spill. Wiltshire's gone in big time. I think their foot pegs just got crossed up or something.
That was very, very untidy. It's the worst sort of accident when the two machines get hooked together. Very, very hard to do anything except hang on and hope for the best.
I wasn't being silly when I said Wiltshire and Platt getting all tied up.
Yeah, that's what
it was just the way I called it at the time.
That's what happened, yes.
Now, obviously, we can see that Todd Wiltshire is up, and that's great news. The crowd, we can hear in the background, giving him a good round of applause. Todd Platt is still down. That's his father, Sess, who I'm sure many people watching our show would remember him riding in the year of the 70s. Another look at it with Rocket Rodney Culhoun, former international rider, who never did anything silly like you're about to see now.
No, not very often anyway. As we see, Ty entering the turn quite innocently, and Todd as well, but I think what's happened is Ty's outer foot peg, which sticks out possibly 6 or 7 inches, actually got hooked in Todd's rear subframe, and at the end of the day, because it couldn't have been the rear wheel because Todd's bike would have stopped immediately. So it was hooked in the frame and they had no option but to go into the wall. That's quite nasty.
Okay, so we come back to the race restart. You can see the Todd Wiltshire returning for action, and a very depleted field. Just the two runners here. Well, Wiltshire will merely go through the motions. And for young Jay Stevens, well, he's a novice in comparison to this man out in front. We should take a moment and explain to our viewers where Todd Wiltshire has come from in recent times. In the early 90s, he was easily Australia's leading international speedway rider and had an awful accident at North Arm in Adelaide in 1992. January it was, breaking his back and his pelvis. Was in a hospital for several months. Was confined to a wheelchair for 8 months, if memory serves me correctly. Was told he may never walk again. Well, have a look at this. Retired for 5 years, came back to action in about 1998. And how good is he, Rodney?
He's very, very good, and I will be very surprised if he doesn't finish in the top 5 or 6 in the world this year. And with Todd's skating ability, that could even be #1. So he's racing very well, riding well, very fit, keeps himself in trim, and takes his racing very seriously. He's an extremely fit athlete and very good at his craft.
Father of 2 sons, his wife Linda, a former Australian motorcycle dirt track champion too. So it's really all in the family. There's Wiltshire, and he did that really in second gear, it's got to be said. Easy 5 points for him.
There's young Shane Haggerty, the Newcastle rider. Had a nasty leg injury in 1994, which seemed to have curbed his progress a little bit. He's got a very nice style, not unlike Lee Adams to look at on the bike, but his confidence fluctuates week to week. If he can get himself together mentally, he's quite a good rider, but the man on the inside of him is not going to help his confidence any whatsoever. As
our camera pans left on the start line, you can see Mick Poole. Haggerty in the setup.
Yeah, Greg Hancock on the inside of him, so he's in for a real... Oh, Greg Hancock has left him standing in a big way.
That is really one of Greg Hancock's great fortes, electrifying starts. Have a look at this. It's mighty Mick Poole charging around the outside, and this time we're seeing the real Ashley Jones too. He runs third. The kid's got plenty of talent, and what a future.
He has. He's got a big future in the sport. He's up right now and going forward, which is what it's all about. But Michael Poole is dicing with the 1997 world champion. At this stage, Michael has his measure, and that's something to behold.
Hancock grafting away on the inside. This is an absolute cracker at the Lynx Gosford Showground Speedway. The former multiple New South Wales champion, Michael Poole. Gee, they're running close together on the circuit. Hancock almost ended up on Mick Poole's seat with him as they come out of turn 4 on the second last occasion.
Mick Poole's riding a perfect line there, right out on the edge of the dirt. It looks like he's going to lose it just there, but Greg's got a lot of skill, and as we've seen there, Mick left him a bit too much room, but Mick's running out again, and he'll have a good run up the hill here if Greg gives him the room.
Last corner, Mick Poole got there on the outside. Great finish. Michael Poole, too good for the American former world champ. He had a beautiful run out of turn 4. He got the back wheel up into the dirt. Listen to the crowd.
The crowd went off there because the local man who struggled in round 1 has come good tonight, and his local sponsors will be here watching him, his family, and they'll be very, very proud. If you see here, Greg Hancock has a lot of respect for Michael Poole because on a couple of occasions, a lesser rider, if you watch here, Michael Poole goes very wide. Greg comes off the inside. Greg could have went straight ahead there and took the racing line away from Mick Poole on 2 occasions that I saw in that race. And that shows a lot of respect for Michael Poole from Greg. Good, clean racing from 2 of the greats.
There's the man we call the Book because of his copybook style, Lee Adams, and the white helmet colour. There's the Bullet, the 1996 world champ Billy Hamill, who won the opening round of this series. We showed you that at the commencement of today's program. There's Lee Finance, rapidly improving rider in the blue helmet colour. Craig Watson, red helmet colour, over on the inside. This will be a beauty. Lee Adams, I mean, where do you start when trying to describe his career? Former world title holder in under-21 competition, former Commonwealth champion. He was the top rider in the British Elite League last year. 5 times Australian champion, 3 times International Speedway Masters champion. I could go on for half an hour.
You certainly could, David, but he'd swap them all for one thing, and that's the thing we're going to be after when the World Championship hits C7 screens this year. Lee Adams chasing the big one.
Exactly. Great battle here involving Craig Watson and Billy Hamill. Hamill almost ends up on the back with Lee Adams. Nothing between the 3 riders up front in this action. It's Adams down the back straight away. Billy Hamill second, Craig Watson third. Hamill, I think, is not done with just yet.
Not just yet, and neither is Craig Watson. Craig Watson sees that the outside is the faster line, and he's riding it very well, following Lee Adams' line and hoping to go sweep around Billy Hamill, possibly on turn 3 and 4 if he can get close enough, but it looks like Billy's got him under control.
Here's Hamill now up on the inside. Adams is going to get it, though. He takes the checker, emerges the victor in Heat 9, wins the 5 qualifying points. Adams having a much better meeting tonight. Adams, Hamill, Shields. So Watson, unfortunately, not getting home in 3rd place. Adam Shields picking up the 3 points there. Now it's Heat 10.
Possible engine failure there for Craig Watson because he was riding exceptionally well. You see the 2 Americans next to each other on the inside, and Newcastle Shane Haggerty left at the tapes quite badly there.
Track's actually starting to go away. The race times are a little slower to give you an idea. Adams winning that previous heat in 60.50 seconds. Early tonight in the first round of heats they were running 58.1. So the track a couple of seconds, a race slower now.
It certainly is. I think that might be Greg on the outside and Billy on the inside. It's pretty hard to separate them at the moment. Am I right there or wrong?
You're right. The 2 Americans who have done so much together on the world stage, combining to win various world competitions. And of course, they've both tasted victory, the victory champagne and the ultimate prize, the World Grand Prix Series. Hamill in 96, Hancock in 97. Last year, they won 3 of the 6 rounds between them. 2 to Hamill, 1 to Hancock. Last lap, and have a look at this. Hancock now. Hamill on the outside. This will be a really close finish. You could throw a blanket over them as they come off turn 4. Leave me out of it. Checkered flag, I've got no idea. The judge has given it to Hancock.
It was pretty close, that one. Greg and Billy going at it hammer and tong, and Shane Haggerty merely a spectator in that one as the 2 Americans went at it big time. That was great stuff.
Unbelievable stuff with Hancock coming up with his 2nd victory of the night.
That's a great start from Greg on the inside, and he just manages to edge out Billy there very briefly, but Greg gets run down the back straight, and Greg actually led it for a fair while, but Billy passed him only momentarily with Greg stealing it back on the last turn. But as you go into this corner here, you can watch here Greg just on the back wheel powering it down into turn 1 and 2. A slight downhill there, quite a tricky corner as you see there. Handlebars probably a foot and a half off the ground, and he leaves enough room for Billy to trouble him, but Greg's just a great competitor, as is Billy, as we see here. What can I say? They were next to each other for the whole race.
You could never stop looking at replay action, rather, like that. Got to give a rap to Shane Haggerty, too, who ultimately finished 3rd behind the Americans. He was not far away.
No, Shane, he doesn't seem to like to actually mix and race. He just likes to, if he gets out in front, he can ride as fast as most people. He's a very competent rider, just mentally a little bit down sometimes.
Here's the dual mono. This has become the Hancock and Hamill trademark. Terrific stuff from the Americans. That's one of the reasons they are so sought after in World Speedway. They're great entertainers.
Yeah, very nice people, David. As we know, Greg was the neighbourhood star, and Billy was just a little kid watching on the side who decided to have a go, and both world champions, so good stuff.
I can also say, having spent New Year's Eve with them this year, they don't mind a drink. Just the soft stuff, I mean. Now we advance to Heat 11. Mick Poole, Todd Wiltshire, Adam Shields. It's a good field. Craig Watson back into the fold as well.
This will be a good race. There's 4 really fast riders in this one, so we should be in for a treat. Mick Poole's in electric form tonight.
He's had a great evening, hasn't he? Poole successful with 3 heat wins thus far. He's been undefeated in the Series 500 Challenge Series tonight so far.
Craig Watson rode a fairly good line there, but Adam Shields seems to have hampered him, and it's Todd Wiltshire leading into turn 3 and 4 on the first occasion, with Michael Poole locking up pretty badly there and allowing Adam Shields right into his back wheel.
So let's see what Mick Poole can do. It's a great race. Wiltshire the leader, Michael Poole second, Adam Shields third. Mick Poole hasn't raced internationally for about 3 seasons now. Wiltshire is still over there, and Adam Shields, well, starting a relatively new career. Here's Poole now on the outside. That looks to have a good run for him. Plenty of drive up high. Nice move, Michael.
That's a great move. Todd left a little bit of room there, or he left a lot of room around the outside, and it didn't take 2 invitations for Michael Poole, the man who has the most track knowledge at the Gosford City Showground, to make it pay, and Todd may have to settle for second best here.
So Mick Poole is going to go through and win another race here tonight in this final round of this international series. Wiltshire coming home quickly on the outside, but it was Michael Poole ahead of Todd Wiltshire and then Adam Shields. What a night tonight for the former multiple New South Wales champion.
Yes, I had a quiet whisper to Michael earlier in the night, and he was pretty adamant that tonight would be a much better night for him than round 1. And Todd Wiltshire came off gate 1, we must remember that. It's the fastest gator in the world off the best gate, and he's finished second. That's quite rare for Todd. And Michael Poole, as we see here, coming up the hill to take another great victory. Excellent stuff from Mickey P.
Mickey P, I like that. Heat 12 now, Coney shock absorbers. So we're certainly getting through the qualifying heats. Reminding those of you that may have just joined our telecast, the winner of each qualifying heats scoring 5 points at the completion of 15 qualifying heats, where each rider has had 5 rides. The top 6 go to the grand finale, and that's where it all happens. Lee Adams is your race leader as they head down the back straight here.
It certainly is. We might take time out, just have a look at Lee Adams' style. If we get a bit of vision of him in the turns, you'll see him just manoeuvre the bike so perfectly. It's incredible to watch a man have so much control over a machine which is not that controllable. A speedway bike is bad-tempered, would be a good way to put it, just to use a term that people would understand. They're very short in the wheelbase, very, very powerful. When they wheel stand very quickly, and you've got to be right on the button to stop it from throwing you off the back. And Lee Adams is the master of using the throttle to advantage. As we know, Lee is one of the world's greatest riders and yet to take the big crown, and between himself, Todd Wiltshire, Jason Crump and Adelaide's Ryan Sullivan, we have 4 people with a real chance of taking the crown this year, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how they fare.
Adams off the top couple of turns, final time checkered flag for him. So adding another 5 points to his tally. He won his previous outing as well. Looking through the score chart, that is his 3rd victory tonight. So Lee Adams having an infinitely better night in this 3rd round of the championship. Hope you're enjoying it on C7. You're seeing it exclusively. And we're coming back. Still another 3 qualifying heats to come. Some more sidecar action. Back shortly.
Great racing. Look at this. Jason Crump still leading. Coming around the outside. Lee Adams. Lee Adams goes ahead.
Great to have your company this week on Checkered Flag as we welcome you back to the Lynx Power Parts Gosford Showground Speedway, advancing to the final round of qualifying heats now. Round 3, Series 500 International Challenge. There is Todd Wiltshire on the center of your screen in the blue helmet colour. He's had a pretty good night tonight, Todd, winning heats 4 and 7. Also having a runner-up finish in heat number 11, so he is certainly on track, Rodney Colquhoun, for an A final or grand finale position.
He certainly is. He has Billy Hamill starting off from the outside and Shane Haggard on his inside, but it's Todd leading at the moment with Billy pulling a beautiful cutback in turn 1 and taking the early ascendancy down the back straight.
Ty Platt and Jay Stevens were both scheduled to start in this event, but succumbing to problems, mechanical failure for Stevens, and for Platt, he was a bit sick, sore and sorry following that incident we saw earlier with with the man on screen now, Todd Wiltshire, heading down the back section through turns 3 and 4. It's the American Billy Hamill, Todd Wiltshire in second. The racetrack, it's got to be said, not as good tonight as we saw in the opening round. It just isn't offering as much for the riders, Rodney.
It's not. There'll be a lot of machine adjustments in the pits, a lot of timing changes and jet changes to try and get the machines to drive harder. Todd Wiltshire may have changed his machine because he's riding a very inside line using the slick surface and relying on the bike actually pulling him up the hill rather than using the dirt to drive him. And at this stage it's working, so fair play to his mechanics. They must have done a good job.
Absolutely. Great finish coming up yet again. Hamill on the outside. The American Wiltshire, nothing in it. About half a wheel length that time. I reckon it was Hamill on the outside. It was.
That was good stuff from Billy and Todd. Todd rode the inside very well there. As I was talking in the first run through of the race, it's very hard to ride these bikes when the track is slick because it's very slippery, much like riding on a sheet of glass with sand sprinkled over it. Very slippery, and on the outside you get more of a clay-based area where you can get the drive. And Todd chose to ride the inside in a Lee Adams type of way, and it paid off, but he would have had to alter his machinery quite dramatically in the pits. Possibly a gearing change, maybe 2 or 3 teeth less on the back to make the bike higher geared and run in a lower rev range, which gives him more acceleration once he gets into the higher speeds.
Now he gets set for sidecar action, and heat 3 for them. Handicap conditions, so Saunders and Saunders, Allen and Allen starting on the gate. Allen and Allen, the best to begin in the predominantly black leathers with the blue helmet colours. There's Mick Saunders and his daughter Clarissa hanging off the side, running second in the orange and black leathers, waiting for Paul Kaslik to race up in just a moment. He was very fast in the previous heat. Alana Harrington, in fact, doing a good job here with Josh Barbara on the side of the bike. They run third on the pink machine, and a long way back. I'm looking for Kaslik, can't get him at the moment. This is where it's all happening. They're 3 wide.
Now, just as we were watching, I saw Paul Kaslik possibly stall briefly, but I think he may have restarted his machine. I saw him just idling along the infield there for a few seconds. That's why he's so far back. I think he's on his way, David.
He is. He's at the back of the pack. Allen and Allen, race leaders here. Second on the racetrack, Greg Allen and James Ryan. Then it's Alana Harrington. And it's the last racing lap. It's been very entertaining stuff tonight from the sidecars. Here's Kaslik now and his passenger Derek Williams. They're coming from the clouds. Now he switches lanes and goes by on the outside so quickly that Allen caught pneumonia with the breeze. Off turn 4, Kaslik's going to finish second. It was a terrific event. And across the line, it was Allen and Ryan, the victors. Kaslik and Williams were second, and Allen were third.
They certainly were, and that was a bigger handicap than usual for Paul Kaslik. As we said, he looked like he stalled the machine or had a little bit of a problem. Took him about 5 or 6 seconds to get going and almost managed to win the race. So he's showing his authority over the rest of the boys tonight. Boys and girls, I might say.
Yep, a couple of girls involved in that race. The sidecars have done a good job. There's Craig Watson on screen, rides for the Poole Pirates in the British Elite League. Adam Shields, right-hand side of your picture. Red helmet colour, Gary Kavanagh, resident flagman here at Gosford Speedway, has them settled. Set now for a start. Tate's Fly, who will it be? Another 4-lap journey. This is the second last qualifying heat, Rodney.
This is going to be an interesting race. Craig Watson 12 months ago would have been considered definitely a better prospect than Adam Shields. Adam Shields, a former Australian under-21 champion, but went into his own hibernation, as we all know, but now he's come back bigger and better than ever, and at the moment Adam Shields' career has taken off, and unfortunately for Craig, his career was staggered by a very nasty upper forearm injury, which completely snapped in half, and it's taken him a year to get back. But as we see here, 2 of the young guns circulating at quite a good pace, and Adam Shields, a nice style. He goes in, taps the foot down on the inside, and then puts the leg back in spectacular style, and he's leaving Craig Watson not behind, but he's quite comfortable in the lead at the moment.
Adam Shields, the leader in the red helmet colour. A funny story, really, because a couple of years ago, the kid did not want to know about Speedway at all. He quit and wanted nothing more to do with it, then got itchy feet again.
He certainly did. He just had enough of the politics and whatever else goes with Speedway, but he's back and he's riding well in England. He got his break and now he's capitalised on it, and his career's taken off week in, week out. He's getting better and better.
Shields, Watson, Pilot, that was the top three for you. In heat number 14, we now have the final qualifying heat in the Series 500 International Speedway Challenge coming your way. There is Lee Adams, who tonight is assured of a grand final berth. I just think he's been working up to it, Rodney. I think he's the bloke to beat tonight.
Yeah, Lee would have watched Todd's previous ride and saw that Todd was riding the inside, almost had enough power there to beat Billy Hamill up the hill on the last occasion. So Lee would have been working frantically with his mechanics in the pits to alter his machine. And I wouldn't be surprised if Lee uses the inside a little bit more this time, because the dirt is very, very wide on the circuit at the moment.
It's a good field. Adams, Mick Poole, Greg Hancock, the American, Ashley Jones and Lee Finance. Jones out of 1, Finance out of 3, Adams out of 2. Getting set to dispatch the field in the final qualifying heat. That now will become a reality as the tapes fly, and so too Lee Adams flies down the back straight.
He certainly does, and Greg Hancock slots in the second, and Magic Mick Poole on the noise again in a big way as he tries to tackle the 1997 world champion, Gregory Hancock.
Race order at the end of the first lap is Lee Adams, Greg Hancock, Mick Poole. Now the American's got a problem. It's called Mick Poole. I think Greg's had more problems than that tonight. He hasn't looked as sharp as was the case in the opening 2 rounds of this series, so perhaps he has some terminal or potentially terminal mechanical problems setting in.
That's quite possible, but Mick Poole throwing everything at him here, and Greg's trying to come back at him, but Michael's done a lot of laps around here and his machines are very well set up for Gosford, and perhaps that could be Greg's problem, the fact that he doesn't have the home track knowledge that Michael Poole has.
Have a look at this for racing. The leader, Lee Adams, is gone. Mick Poole and the American Greg Hancock run side by side. 2 corners to negotiate in the final qualifying heat. Lee Adams breezing through the program. He'll emerge as more than likely the top qualifier along with Mick Poole for the main event tonight. Speaking of Poole, he was second, Greg Hancock third. I think the American would be a touch disappointed with that, Rodney, after a pretty good start.
Yeah, I think he would be. He was he looked to have Michael's measure there for a lap or so, but Mick just rode past him and then didn't ride away from him, but beat him again. And Greg will be in the pits working frantically on that machine, I think, trying to get it to drive harder.
Greg Allen and James Ryan in the orange helmet colour. You're watching them, centre of the screen, Alana Harrington, Josh Barbara. They're back starting off a 20-metre handicap. It's obviously the other Allen combo, Paul and Chris, who lead them away. Saunders and Saunders run second. Next on the circuit, running third at this stage, Greg Allen and James Ryan. Kaslik again coming very quickly as he battles away and moves up to third on the circuit at the end of the first lap. Well, that's a big effort.
It is a big effort, and he tries to tuck it in there out of what is turn 2 for the sidecar riders, but he seems to be balked at the moment and not asserting his authority as he did earlier in the 2 heats we saw previous.
Oh, Saunders chopping Kaslik off there. Saunders and Saunders now find themselves in front. Here's Kaslik and Derek Williams testing the outside of the racetrack, heading down the back chute. You'd think Kaslik is going to find the race lead in a moment. Does so now. The comeback kid. He's been out of the sport for 7 or 8 years. He's absolutely blitzing them tonight.
He is, and he's a very fit man, Paul Kaslik. I was speaking to him the other day, and he does his weights and he runs around the block and he cycles, mountain bikes. He's got him, and he's really got his heart set on that Easter Grand Prix.
Sounds a bit like me, that
Yes.
sort of fitness regime.
That's right. He's very much got his heart set on making a big impression at the Easter Sidecar Grand Prix, and I stick my neck out a little bit and say he might cause more than a headache for the top boys.
Okay, speaking of the top boys, they're all here over 2 nights at Easter, Saturday and Sunday, April 14 and 15. Every state of Australia represented in the Sidecar Grand Slam across the line. We'll recap them for you. Allen and Ryan, Kaslik and Williams. Finishing up front in that event. And Allen were third. Allen and Allen. And that is an outstanding performance tonight by Kaslik and Derek Williams.
It certainly is. Really asserted their authority over their what I term novices at this point, but Paul's nothing like a novice in any form of motorcycling. Just a little bit race rusty, if anything. But as we see here, accelerates down the back straight, tears in on what is a very, very fast line into turn 3, and drifts it out into what would normally be fairly deep dirt, but a little bit slick on this evening's track preparation, and accelerated away for another great win.
Okay, now we advance to the race we've been waiting for. It's the grand finale in the Series 500 International Speedway Challenge tonight. And the field looks this way. Lee Adams red, Mick Poole blue. We can see there Adam Shields has managed to qualify for this race in the black and white helmet colour. That's terrific news. The two Americans also out there, Hamill and Hancock. Obviously Wiltshire. 6 of them in total. Wiltshire starting on the extreme outside. Who will it be? We get set for a start. Tapes fly now. Lee Adams, the Victorian, over on the inside, got a great start. Likewise, Todd Wiltshire in the predominantly white leathers. He's dropped back to run third on the circuit. That looks to be Greg Hancock up running second on the inside. It's an absolute mad scramble as they race up the main straight at the end of the first lap. Mick Poole's there too.
He certainly is, and Mickey Poole knows his way around the outside here late in the meeting, so expect him to start running it very, very wide. It's Lee Adams leading at the moment. I think it might be Billy Hamill in second with Todd Wiltshire in third, but Todd's problem tonight has been Michael Poole, and Michael Poole is again haunting him in this one.
This is a 6-lap journey. Have a look at this racing, will you? It's Lee Adams in front. The American Billy Hamill is second, and Billy is giving it everything up on the inside. Nothing between them. Michael Poole sitting on his bike having a torrid ride. He runs third. Wiltshire's on his outside. Greg Hancock and Adam Shields disputing the next position.
They certainly are. Todd Wiltshire is not happy with what's happening at the moment. He's going backwards through the field quite rapidly, and it's Michael Poole asserting himself into third place. Billy Hamill in second, and Todd Wiltshire throwing everything, and while he's doing that, Greg Hancock goes straight underneath him, so not a good night for Todd.
Very serious speedway. Lee Adams has been the class act here tonight in the Series 500 Challenge up the main straight. He runs last lap now. Hamill is still second. Mick Poole is third.
He is, and as we saw the footage just there, I think Todd Wiltshire just did to Greg Hancock what Greg Hancock did to Todd Wiltshire the lap before. We may see Todd come over the line. Oh, a great win for Lee Adams, and I've got to be carried away there with Todd Wiltshire there, but I think Todd may have just finished fourth.
The Series 500 sponsored rider wins the Series 500 sponsored event. Looking now at a replay, Lee Adams was too good for them there. Hamill just couldn't get any speed at all as he circulated on the low line.
No, he couldn't. Lee was riding very, very well, and as we see there, Billy and Mick ended up fairly close together. Michael rode a great 4 laps there, and it's a nice night for him.
All right, Lance Robertson, our pit reporter, is moving into position to catch up with some of the star riders. It's been a heck of a meeting.
Well, Billy Hamill second tonight. You can't be unhappy about that after the mechanical dramas at Newcastle.
No, it's we had a nightmare of a meeting at Newcastle, and we're probably still recovering a little bit tonight. I made quite a few changes throughout the night because I wasn't happy with the machine, and you know, it got better towards the end, but it was close but no cigar.
Well, Gosford has certainly been kind to you. A victory in round 1, second in round number 3. Where to from now?
Well, right now I'm just going to take a couple weeks holiday around Australia with my family, and then back to California for about a month. And then end of February we head over to Italy for testing, and the season starts second week in March.
Well, we wish you all the very best of luck and hope you've enjoyed the company down under.
Yeah, definitely. Always do. Thanks.
Well, Mick Poole proving that when the mechanical situation is okay, a pair of thirds not too bad.
Yeah, it's good. I'm pretty happy, you know, against a field like that, you know, Billy and Greg and all of them, you know, Todd, and they're all in the top 10 of the world. So it's really nice and gives you a lot of confidence when you can beat them.
Well, you called it quits on the international scene overseas a few years ago. Does this sort of entice you to want to get back into it at all?
No, not really. No, I'm over all that now, and it's just a bit of fun for me now. I don't get nervous or anything like that now, and it's just like going out and having, you know, on your motocross with your mates. You know, it's just a bit of fun. Although it's quite serious in the final, but yeah, I just enjoy it here. I've got a great lifestyle here, and so no, I've never really thought about it.
Well, once a racer, always a racer. What's on the cards for Mick Poole in the future now?
I'll just keep riding here and do the odd meeting away, and I've been doing a little bit of long track as well. So, you know, thanks to my sponsors, I can keep racing and enjoying it. And so I just keep riding while I enjoy it. And once I start not enjoying it and it gets too much to me, that'll be it. But the way it's going now, it won't be for a long time yet.
Well, there's no doubt that the way the crowd embraces you here at Gosford, we certainly hope that your backside's trackside for many more years to come, Mick Poole.
Yeah, thanks, Lance.
Well, Lightning Lee Adams, 5 times national champion. You must be pretty confident with 2 wins on the trot going into the Australian final soon.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good year. I've been fairly relaxed, you know, laid back, and just done these 3 meetings up here, and it's been really enjoyable, and it's great to walk away with a couple of wins and, you know, just dial in the bikes and get things organised again, and I'm going to relax for a little bit more. I think we've got a couple of weeks, and then another meeting at the long track Port Pirie, and then into the Australian finals, and, you know, we're looking for number 6 or number 5, I can't remember, but I think it's number 6 to equal Billy Sanders, and you know, that would be nice to finish, you know, my career or to be up with the likes of Billy Sanders. Just such a great rider. So yeah, it should be good.
Does this mean that your career is nearing the end with a comment like that? Have we let something out of the bag?
No, not at all. I shouldn't have really put it that way, but no, you know, I'm knocking on. I'm 30 next year, but I feel as though I'm riding at my best, and you know, I had a fantastic year in Europe, and we still haven't got that World Championship, and we'll just keep battling away for that, and you know, that's the one we're after, and you know, I feel as though it's coming pretty close. You know, we're going pretty good in all my league stuff. We just really got to sort the Grand Prix out, and we'll be there.
How important is support like Series 500 Car Care Products and Fraser Imports? Your Jawa was percolating sensationally tonight.
Yeah, fantastic. I got such a good crew around me. You know, that's a big thing, and you know, great bikes, and Series 500 have backed me for 5 years now, and you know, they're such a great help. So without those guys, it makes it really difficult. And now with factory backing from Jawa, you know, you get all the trick goodies, and you know, it's nice. As I say, I got a great team around me, and that makes my job so much easier.
Have some Aussie support at home in England with Oxford.
Yeah, I've made a bit of a move and moved away from Kings Lynn, which we had a fair shed of Australians there, but Oxford's local to me. It's 45 minutes, and you know, we got Jono and Todd, and I feel as though we've got a very good team, and you know, could probably take some silverware. So that should be nice. Jono's always entertainment.
Well, we wish you all the very best of luck in your quest for that elusive World Championship. Good luck in the year 2001.
Thanks, mate.